Okay, welcome everyone to our regular May board meeting. And I hope all of our teachers and administrators and school staff are keeping their spirits up in these fast and furious final weeks of the school year. So I'll call the meeting to order. Please note that Director Darling is absent. He might be joining us before the end of the meeting, but he's not here right now. So we'll continue on. Do I have a volunteer to read our mission statement?
Public hearing.
Oh, excuse me, yes. I will call to order our public hearing. Have there been any comments, oral or written, or anyone that would like to make a comment that's here in the room?
Answer the first part of the question. I don't believe there have been any oral written comments about the public hearing.
Please. Okay. We'll call the public hearing adjourned. Now we will move on to our regular meeting. Now, do I have a volunteer?
I'll say, yeah. So,
Thanks for the help, Erin.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
at Decorah Community School District, we embrace student learning and well-being as our fundamental purpose. We will, in partnership with our students, families, and community, make the world a better place. The mission of the Decorah Community School District is learning, thriving, creating our legacy. The vision of the Decorah Community School District is that we will be a collaborative, innovative, learning-centered organization empowering students to embrace their personal strengths and create their future.
Thank you. And we do not have any old business tonight. So we will move on and I will accept approval of tonight's agenda. So,
Second.
okay, hearing a motion and a second, any further comments or discussion?
I just note that item T, which was tentatively on agreement, is off, and that's just the review of the non-union contracts. I need a little time with my board administrative team to have that ready to go for the board. So
Okay.
when we feel better about that, we'll probably be calling a special meeting to get those approved. But our focus this week will be the TA with the teachers and getting those contracts out.
Understood. Any other comments? Hearing none, approval of the agenda, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we'll move on to the consent items. Including minutes, bills, and personnel.
If I can make a comment, we did add a few personnel issue items that came in today. So if you check the bottom of the list, maybe they're in alphabetical order by first name.
No, they are,
Okay,
yeah.
so that doesn't help me, but I think we knew about many of them, but I would highlight that the special ed teacher, Sarah Christopher, that serves St. Ben's, her after doing a review of her caseload, he's 85% this year. The recommendation is to move her up to 100% because of her caseload. And we could take more time with that as a board if you have questions, but with issuing contracts this week, it'd be nice if we could just issue her the 1.0 contract. And just as a reminder, special ed is based on student need and it's kind of a requirement, so it's difficult not to approve those. But we have the interim building and grounds that we've done in the past. That's kind of a new one, and I guess a resignation from facilitator of instructional technology, and that has to take place so that we can approve the agreement later. Because you can't have you can have two jobs. You can't work for yourself and for the district. So just some ground cleaning up there. But if you have questions,
Yeah, any others that you want to call out?
those were the ones that I don't, maybe that had been talked about before. The 3-year-old preschool for Shanna is in there, and that was, we talked about that before. So that's just a transfer of role. Other than that, I think everything else had either was in there before or had been discussed before.
And I want to specifically thank Curtis Johnson for his time with the school district these past 2 years. He has truly brought us to a new place, considering maintenance and the care of our buildings and grounds. And that is the invisible work that happens behind the scenes that we all depend on, but is not often named. So I'm grateful. And we have open positions in the district,
Yes, we do.
so please apply.
Sorry, could someone define collaborative teacher role for me on the teacher leader positions?
Oh, the collaborative teacher, I might defer a little bit to that. Those came out of the teacher leader. That's all part of the TLC grant, teacher leader compensation. Then it got changed to teacher leader system, so TLS. So the collaborative teachers, obviously that role is a little bit larger, and those folks work more doing some, I don't want to say administrative, but doing more kind of structural and leading of the building. But I'll defer, well, there's one in the audience, but I'll defer to the administrator. Maybe Brad, can you define a little bit better what our collaborative teachers do?
Yeah, they take on more of a role in terms of planning professional development, professional learning communities, analyzing data, meeting with teachers, meeting with new teachers, supporting them in a variety of ways in addition to their mentors, working with me to kind of co-plan lots of things for the two that we have at the high school. And then Dana Hogan specifically, her role is also to serve as an instructional mentor specifically. So there is like planning book studies, meeting with the mentors and mentees together. It's a big ask. We kind of do a lot with that because we no longer have instructional coaches that are fully released. So we try to make that work the best we can with what our instructional coaches previously were doing. But we also acknowledge and respect that all of these individuals are teaching full-time teaching roles as well.
And Justin, would you add anything different to that? Okay. Yeah. Probably in there was a part where these people we had instructional coaches that were totally released. And we just, that's one thing that we've kind of quietly done as we produce budget is not that is one of those folks. So.
It falls within the bills listing, but I just thought I would note the high school science curriculum seems like we pressed the buy button on, so I was happy to see that. I'm glad you guys will have some.
Lots of requisitions.
Yeah. Can I double check a name on the personnel listing? So it's supposed to be Mason Vote or Mason Cody?
Vote.
Okay. I was like, the letters are right next to each other on a keyboard, and I was like, yeah, sounds good. It's just like I know somebody else whose name is nearly identical. So
The payment to the Luther to the pool on the activity fund, is that something that you need to abstain from, or
no.
can I move that we approve the consent items? The minutes, the bills, and the personnel?
Second.
Okay, hearing a motion in a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is the financial report. We have Joan joining us virtually and Christy is here in person.
Yep,
She's behind Justin.
Oh, she is.
Christy, I don't know if you had anything to add. I don't know if you have any questions or kind of just going through the year as nothing unexpected. I maybe will comment about the budget when you guys do the budget amendment. I mean, I'll be on then too, but that we're not raising taxes at that time. We're just allowing ourselves to spend money that we already have from the bond issue. And the other one is the support. It's always kind of hard to tell exactly where we're going to be. And I think we probably would have been okay without amending that piece, but it's always, you just don't want to you don't want to get written up for not having it amended. So I just thought, just in case, as we're estimating, and you estimate like a year and a half out. So that's why it's kind of harder to do too. But we have the bank's accounts all locally now. We got that finally all done and we're pretty excited about that. So
Yeah, I appreciate that so much. And I know that takes a lot of behind the scenes admin support to
yeah.
achieve
It's longer than you think it's going to. There's so many automatics, but I think we're good now.
Yeah. Yeah, does the board have any questions about the reports? Again, I love this format to see year over year, month by month. It's really easy to review. Christy, do you have anything to add? No, for the board? No?
Yeah, just to Cindy's point, you can kind of track the cash balances on the general fund and you can kind of see. Obviously, you wouldn't compare month to month because there's variation and there'll be variation next year because we're gonna get our warrants at different times, our payments from the state. So that'll be good to know, but you can kind of see the last few months, it looks like our general fund has been down about. What I'm looking at about 700,000, which we kind of knew, and that's part of our whole adjustments, but that seems to be tracking the last couple of months. But if you went back to February, it only looks like we're down, 150 or so. I just like to look at that over time. That's the health model. Of course, I pay a lot more attention to general fund than some of the others because that's the big one.
Yes.
Not that they're not all important, but yeah.
Any other questions or comments? We don't need formal action on our financial reports, so we'll move on. Next is open forum communication from the public. Is there anyone here that would like to make a statement tonight to the board? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on. Down to item number 9, presentation, and we'll hear from Mr. Hurst from Decorah High School on the DCAP program.
Yes. This is a collaborative document. It'll actually pertain to item 9 or 10G on the agenda tonight, the district career and academic plan. There's a lot of people that spent and invested great deals of time into writing what actually we need to approve later on, a pretty sizable document that the board will have, hopefully it's already reviewed, but the state does continue to add requirements to it every year. And so new to our journey today will be Mr. Albers, who's going to talk about middle school and their integration of things as well. And so let's get going. So as we get going here, the first part of this is the district career and academic plan. I'm going to talk briefly about the academic part of it. And so obviously a large focus of this overall will be about things like work-based learning, career apprenticeships, job shadows, things that we do outside of it. But there's a little bit I wanted to feature just on the academic side. So I just have to just
Yeah.
So we continue to do well academically, pretty consistently. Well, even before my time, we've had one of the top ranked high schools in the state of Iowa. U.S. News and World Report. It's going to be fun. Test data continues to be high. This is the U.S. News and World Reports. How do we rank on our test scores compared to other schools in the district, which there's only one high school, as well as in the state. AP scores continue to remain high. A good number of our students that graduate from Decorah High School will take at least one AP exam, and the success rate on those exams continues to be high as well. And so we're happy to say that we're saving students a good amount of money compared to college tuition with high quality instructors that provide high quality AP instruction in our building. But other things I wanted to highlight here, I'm very proud of this, and this is largely our special ed teachers, as well as many of our students in the building. We actually just won a National Unified Champions School banner. And I say we, like Mr. Dunt, our Unified Champions Club, our special ed teachers did a lot of the work for that. We've hosted a variety of events this year, lots of different unified sporting events, as well as unified art, unified buddy choir, just some amazing accomplishments throughout the year. So I would be remiss if I didn't highlight that as well. School performance profile. This is how the Department of Education ranks all schools in Iowa. And so they keep changing the formula every year, which makes it kind of hard to know exactly what you're chasing. But we continue to perform high, no matter the metrics and how they shift. Last year, we had a high performing designation at Decorah High School. I just kind of geek out on this stuff a little bit, so I will spare you guys all the details, but this is just simply a graph that shows our school performance profile data points, which on the y-axis, you want to be as high as possible, so furthest to the top. But also on the x-axis, interestingly, I kind of noted, if you're a small school, it seems like you do better with how the schools are ranked now. So I thought that was just really interesting how that data was all clustered together. Also, coincidentally, there are lots of small schools in Iowa, so there may not be a causation there. As far as math and ELA proficiency, so how well do students do on those ISAS tests? Again, in this case, you want to be all the way top and right. We're not the best school, I would say, in any particular metric, but we perform well in many of them, so you can see kind of where we put ourselves there. But we want to continue to get better. So where can we get better with how they rank us? Well, one of the things that is new over the last couple of years is specifically looking at the participation in what's called work-based learning. So how many students are doing this outside of the school or maybe during the school day, actually getting some authentic learning in a career that they're interested in as part of their high school experience. So this is relatively new. This graph shows the percentage of students in any given district that are, number one, earning college credit. So you want to be all the way over to the right, a great deal, which we are. Now this is looking specifically at dual credit or NICC credit and not specifically AP. So we got to get it both. And so some schools are all in on one or the other. So we're doing well there. But if you look at the y-axis, where we're maybe looking for areas for improvement is just in the number of people that are participating in getting work-based learning credit. So we're a little bit below the state average, which is about 45% of the seniors that would do some level of work-based learning their senior year. We're not dramatically low, but we are lower than the state average. We want to continue to grow in that area. This is kind of summarizing everything I just said. Go to the next one. So a DCAP, this is a kind of an annual term to know. It's a district career academic plan. It's required by Iowa code that every school district that's accredited has one of these plans. Also required by Iowa code that on an annual basis, every school district in Iowa has this plan approved by their local school board. As part of this, additionally, what's required is that you have what's called an advisory committee or council. It must be made up of every community members, students, faculty, staff represent each of those different 4 areas that you have. So every school has to have at least 4 areas in CTE to be accredited. So we have agriculture, business, industrial technology, and culinary arts as our 4 strands at Decorah School District. We've consistently done well on this. So the last couple of years that we've had our DCAP, it gets scored in June by a committee of other schools. Obviously, we can't score our own. So other school districts use a rubric and they look at all the different criteria and they rank us. And so I'm happy to say over the last 2 years, we've had the only perfect DCAP scores in the entire region that we're in. That is a huge testament to Mr. Truman, Mrs. Storhoff, others that have helped contribute to it, that we've been able to perform that well the last few years. Our DCAP goals for this year, one thing that's new that's required by the state is that we have what's called a counseling framework. Mrs. Storhoff is going to talk to us about that. Also, to obviously continue to increase the number of students doing work-based learning. Mr. Truman will talk about that. And then finally, something new this year is to have career practical connectedness and work-based learning type things, maybe not to the same level at a high school, but to integrate that into your 5-8 curriculum as well, which Mr. Albers will talk to us about. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mrs. Fordoff.
Thank you. So something that we need to include with our DCAP, which is a requirement now moving forward, is a school counseling framework. As we started talking about this, and I'm new, and this is my 2nd year as a counselor at the high school. I don't know where it was found, but a school counseling framework was delivered to me. It was probably typed on a typewriter from like the 70s. I have it in my office. It's like 80 pages bound. And we think that that was maybe like the last formal school counseling framework that's been developed. So we're really working on this. This is going to be a collaborative effort through the years. But this is really kind of how we support academics, also career and college readiness but then also social, emotional, and well-being and mental health in the school. So it's really going to kind of outline the work that we do as school counselors. So this is part of the DCAP that we'll include. It's a work in progress. We'll develop it through professional development as a counseling team, and then we meet as PLCs 2 times a month. And I'm really kind of looking forward to like the goal setting that we'll do as a group. And then also kind of looping the middle school in on some of this career readiness. And then we're just so appreciative of the approval of school links. That's just going to benefit us in so many ways. And that's really going to be a part of the work that we do moving forward as a counseling team.
Great. With Maddie and I, a couple things. We wanted to highlight some new things we did this year in the DCAP. The first one that we have up here is we worked with Luther on a preferred admissions partnership. And then if you go to the next slide, we also did a visit to Luther with our juniors and NICC. They could pick either one. That received really good feedback. In the junior year, kids are starting to think about college. So we've done different things, and Maddie helped set some things up and has continued to do so with a downtown business walk and with several of the other activities. But we're still trying to get kids to think about their futures. And one thing is to put them on a campus and to have it done early before you normally do an admissions tour. Some of our juniors have already done one, but we have many, still first gen kids or maybe kids who have never been to a college campus. And so let's get them there. Let's let them talk to a financial aid person. Let's let them talk to just an admissions rep and let them tour the campus. They got to see some of the new things at Luther too, which was really cool, but also to try to explore their career area. So we keep building the things that, and these things don't necessarily count for the good in the state reports. The main thing that counts for the good, we try the next one too, because I think, yeah, it would be this. If you are on one of the goal pages, you may have clicked on some of them. We were able to up the people that counted work-based learning for credits from 32 to 42, and from last year to this year. So that's an improvement in how many that are out there experiencing things. And oftentimes it's their own work. They're getting paid for their work, but we sit down and we interview them at the end. We set some goals at the beginning, and in hopes that they're growing. It's transferable skills. The kids win by getting money. A few of them will get out of school just a little bit more, so some of them might like that. Most of them are still taking 5 credits worth. The community wins by getting a workforce that wants to work, and many of them are working from 20, 25 hours, 30 hours a week. A few of them are. And that's not everybody though. We still have many kids that will work that don't join the program. And still some will get work-based learning experiences through especially FFA with their student agricultural experiences, through construction class, through computer science class, through botany with the school garden, and through environmental science with the recycling program, because those are experiences that can count toward the work-based learning numbers that we have. And our goal is to grow this in every way possible, but one of them is, can we capture some of the work that our kids are doing? Our kids are hardworking kids, and we hope that the number will go up. We hope that this improves our school performance profile. We know that we will still lag behind some other schools that really have a dedicated work-based learning person full-time, and the goal of doing lots of internship time. We'll see where that goes with our future, but we were very proud of the work that we've done in that area. I need to mention one other thing that didn't fall in this category that might come later on. One new thing that we must also do is IRCs, which is industry recognized credentials. And I think we got up over 60 seniors, I believe, will have at least one credential, which these are tests that students can take. Nurse aid, EMTs. We also give 4 of them in our different classes. And we're very proud that we're able to get more of those. It's a state mandate that you have to offer them in your CTE areas. And many of the kids are doing it outside of school too. So we're just growing in many ways, and we could probably talk a lot longer, but we've got to keep moving on. Very proud of what we've done in each of these areas to grow our work-based learning for this year. So and I think there may be a couple things that Maddie can comment to. Let's go to the next slide and see that. This is just summarizes what I just said. So next slide. Let's have Lila talk and then we'll have Maddie talk. So we have to mention Lila, you know, each year we try to have at least one student talk. Lila is doing an educational internship. I think we got about 4, and they work with our teachers and they gain, you know, valuable experience, but the teacher gains by having them in the room, and we'll let her talk about some other things that she's gaining from doing this experience. So thank you very much, Lila.
So every week on Tuesdays and Fridays, I go over for an hour and a half to work in a classroom with a kindergarten teacher. And I mostly help out with like setting up the crafts for the week or the next week, and like sometimes like interacting with the kids during their like free choice time, or helping them if like they missed a day and have to make up an assignment. But I'm learning a lot about like how it actually works to run like a classroom from a teacher perspective, which is what I plan to do in the future. And I'm going to college for early childhood education. This has been a great opportunity for me to learn more about how it actually works in the actual job, rather than just from a student perspective, but from a teacher perspective. And I've learned a lot about like how much work actually goes into a classroom, and it's definitely strengthened my like desire to become a teacher through this experience.
Okay. Can I ask you one thing too? Will you gain some sort of credit by having this on your high school transcript? Will that help you in some way?
Yes, actually, so for the University of Northern Iowa, which is where I'm going, to get into the teaching program, you have to have 10 hours of like observation time in a classroom. And so my hours for this that are on my high school transcript will apply to that. So then I will automatically get into the teaching program once I go to UNI, instead of having to find those hours outside of a school setting.
Does anybody else have questions for Lila? Because she's our featured person.
Lila, thank you for coming tonight. It's really a treat for us to hear about your experience firsthand. And I could not be more excited that you are going to a career in early childhood education. Good for you. What's one thing that surprised you the most about being in a classroom setting, from looking at it from this new perspective that you're gaining from the teacher point of view?
It kind of surprised me how much like outside of like the classroom work, like how much planning and cutting things out and laminating and stapling and taping and all of that stuff goes into it. It's like you're in the classroom, you just think, oh, you just have this craft ready to go, but there's a lot of work that goes into every craft and finding every crafter and how it applies to the different lessons. So yeah.
We really appreciate our elementary principals that can help and allow this to occur at elementary teachers. I think the teachers gain a lot too. They gain a helper, but there's still some work on the front end that you have to do, and supervising and making sure that they follow certain rules. So we appreciate the John Klein for doing that.
And Lila, I'm going to ask you a pretty loaded question, but so after observing what it takes to be an elementary teacher, what do you think is harder, being an elementary teacher or being a high school teacher? Based on the fact that you might have some experience observing a high school teacher, and that might be your ride home tonight. So I'd like to.
They definitely have a lot of different things. Like I feel like high school is a lot more than the elementary on like the grading side of things, and like how much you have to go through to grade like for like English teachers. I think elementary teachers have a lot more like planning and like getting stuff ready. So I feel like it might be harder to be like an elementary teacher because you have to, from what I've seen, there's a lot of outside work that is very hard to find the time to get done. Like I know I do a lot of work to help like set up everything And if I wasn't there, she would have to do it in like her personal time. So I think that elementary teacher seems to be harder from my perspective, but I'm pretty sure.
I think that my older brother is a retired high school teacher, and I was an elementary teacher. I will say both are really difficult jobs. So, but that's a good answer.
You spend much time in the classroom when the students are there?
Yeah, so the time that I'm there is usually from like 7:55 to 8 to like 9:25, 9:30. So usually during that time, that's when the students first have like their free choice time in the morning, and then their morning meeting, more free choice time, and then they have like their phonics and stuff, and sometimes I'm there for like the start of their lessons. So the kids are always in the classroom when I'm in there, but it's sometimes I'm not like interacting with them, or I'll be in the workroom or helping a different teacher in a different classroom, but I'm usually there when the kids are there.
Have you learned some skills for management and motivating young learners?
A little bit, yeah. Visual observing.
Thanks for being here a while.
Yes.
We
Thanks very
appreciate you.
much. Thank you, Mrs. Hemsoft, for working with her. I think we have 3 other students that are doing the same thing. All right, thank you. Maddie has a couple things. Thank you.
Yeah, so we can actually kind of skip this. Yeah, okay. So a lot of what I do is I'm a project coordinator for Wenatchee County Development and Tourism, and then through a partnership with NICC and the school and the high school, I kind of help, I guess the best way would be connect the high school and high school experiences that the district and staff want to see with the business community as best as possible, which, as everyone knows, like the needs for students are always changing, the needs for businesses are always changing. And so just trying to find the best way to balance what will suit everyone best with time commitments and everything like that. So this is the manufacturing tour, was the second or third year I think that we did this one. And students went, the 9th grade class went to Gemini, Cameraman, Stanley, and Deco, and they had a full like hour tour of the facility and got to see everything in the facility. And actually got to get really up close. So I've been to Cameraman, Deco, and now Gemini on it, and they really do a good job of pulling pieces out and letting students examine what they're actually fabricating and what different rules are across their building. That has generally had good feedback from students. And then next one is the downtown event, also with the 9th grade class. So the class gets split and they go to a retail store, a restaurant, and a bank, and they're there for about 20 minutes. And they just get to hear a whole run through of everything that involves to work at that business or own that business. Discussion topics range from how do you deal with food allergies to what is a business model? Are you a sole proprietor or an LLC? How do you open a checking account? Things just across the board. What education is required for every role? How do you decide to go out on your own as a business owner? Things like that. And that one gets a lot of really positive feedback, both from the business community and from students. The businesses like that students are there, it's a set time. So they're there for, they have to be on and talking to students for maximum an hour and a half, and then they're kind of done for their time. And not that they wouldn't want to do more, but they know that that day, it's an hour and a half, they're in front of students, it's meaningful, it's impactful, and they don't have to do a lot of extra follow-up. Because I think a lot of things that we've heard in other meetings with other districts is that the business community tends to collaborate really strongly for 5, 6, 7 years, and you just keep doing it and doing it and doing it. And then they get tired because they only have so many staff, they only have so many hours in their day, they can't close to have students there. So we're really working on slowly ramping up these interactions to make sure that it's sustainable for both students and the district and the businesses. But a big part of outside of just this that I did a lot this year was working with Bev Burns from the AEA. And a lot of what we did was supporting our CTE teachers and their departments, as well as some grant writing. So over the last couple of years, we've done a few grants and some grant planning and like strategic planning for where the best use of funds is, whether it's from RPP or Perkins or looking at grants and figuring out how we can fill those gaps and help that department. So that's what I've been up to.
Okay. Okay, and that's where the middle school now comes in, as Brad kind of mentioned. This will be the first year of middle school being officially a part of the DCAP, and so for us, it really was the start of the year, kind of as we got going, is to really familiarize ourselves with the kind of vocab and the terminology from the DCAP. And so in January, we had the staff kind of meet. We just kind of did a almost little boot camp presentation to kind of share again some of the general things and aspects that will be included. The three focus areas that DCAP will talk about: career awareness, exploration, and learning connections. And then really for us, the big thing is emphasizing that it's more than just the guidance counselors who are responsible for this. And obviously the high school with our guidance counselors there have taken a big role. And of course, Mr. Stock, currently what he's done, have taken a big role, but really impressing upon our staff that it's all of us that have to do this, right? To really do it well. And so that was a big learning part for us right away, which our staff really kind of, took and ran with too, which was good to see. So we worked in grade level team meetings, kind of in terms of the following: identify some of those career connected activities, label them as career awareness or exploration, share examples, and then begin documenting the activities which we use for our section 8, which is part of the DCAP. Go ahead and move on. Now, what did we learn? Well, we learned we're doing a lot of really awesome things, right? And that was probably the biggest takeaway we had. As this started, and I met last fall, I believe there was in Elkader, there was a middle school DCAP presentation. So I went into that, right? I think we're in pretty good shape, and we're in good shape because we have a pretty robust exploratory program at the middle school, which we find offers a lot of opportunities for some of these career explorations. So we're really blessed that way to have that, and that's not something common in all middle schools. And so we offer a lot of variety. Even with Mr. Larson retiring and us absorbing his position, we'll still have a lot of really good things in place. But as we started to look at what we offer in our curricular areas, in our core areas, our teachers were able to highlight all the things that they're already doing, which we found to be pretty robust along with our exploratory program. And so we're doing a lot of really good things, right? And that was really a big takeaway for us. And so for us, really the big thing moving forward is just kind of strengthen some of that grade level alignment. Continue to brainstorm new ideas, partner with the counselors, community. Maddie and I have spoken a few times with Mr. Stock, and so we know there's going to be opportunities for us moving forward. Maybe not quite there yet, like the high school, but things for us to build off of, and then just kind of ensuring students have access to the information. And I know Bridget mentioned earlier, we will also have access to school links, which will be our CIS. We will work our hardest to not dig too much into it, just because the high school will use it pretty thoroughly when they get to the high school, when kids get to the high school. So we will kind of dabble in it, but we feel we're in pretty good shape, and we're excited to continue to work. Just in the last week, we're adding a couple exploratories. We're going to have a sports media exploratory with Mr. Hogan. So he's going to talk about broadcasting and journalism and sport. And so that'll be really neat. Mrs. Courtney was talking about, doing a more digital media campaign, marketing in her class. And so a lot of really cool opportunities. Even today, our 7th graders are on the Water Week activities field trips, and they're connecting all of those careers that exist where they're going to the hatchery, the water treatment facility. So a lot of really good things happening. And for us, we just really kind of need to name them a little better and really highlight some of the connections to, the careers. So we're excited for the work and to continue it. And high school has kind of led the way for us, and we'll join the good fight. Question from middle school. Okay.
Hey, we just want to briefly mention, we have to establish new goals each year. And so the first goal here, we'd like to make sure that everybody's using the CIS and developing a scope and sequence using our school link. So every grade in the high school will access the account and do hopefully 2 activities within the system. And then we hope the kids run with it. Look for scholarships, look for schools, things like that. And so that's our first goal. If you want to go to the second one. So specifically, we have to develop the scope and sequence. So, and then in the middle school, we would like to be able to offer the same things. And in each grade, we have to get it written out this summer. What's Mr. Stock going to cover? What's Carrie Reed going to cover? And so, it's just, how are we doing this? And then to go to the third one, just continue to design and map our counselor framework. We've got the good skeleton there with some meat on the bones, and now let's keep going with those things. So we think that these are achievable, but with the new CIS, we have to do it really well. And also our industry credentials, can we grow these beyond 60? We're very pleased that we were able to get 60 seniors with these. Let's see if we can do even more. Thank you.
So the next several slides, I'll just have these kind of flip through.
Sorry.
Obviously, we've done lots with our CTSOs. So we'll just kind of do a picture quick here. FFA, all the different things that you've seen in the Viking newsletter. FBLA in their second year has already gotten more national qualifiers. And so Skills USA is kind of taking off and running. They got a few fundraisers that they've taken on. Then the next few after this are just different things we're doing. Next Wednesday, we have a STEM Connect Day. We bring people in from the community to do lots of things there. Our robotics team continues to do really well. This is actually a record-setting year for them, where they both made it to the state champion or state tournament. Obviously some authentic learning in biology with collecting different bacteria samples, and we're figuring out where the clean and dirtiest areas of the school are, which I'm really intrigued to find the results. All the way to AP Physics C, which is calculus-based physics, which everybody in that picture is well smarter than I am, doing some pretty advanced stuff. Our small gas engines class, where they get clinical hours and they work on a variety of small gas engine type equipment, including the Hurst snowblower, which has definitely been improved with their skills. Our greenhouse and garden program, which goes right to our school lunch program in the next slide. Actually, the one after this, factory tours. And then we're just very blessed to have Mr. Hayes, Mr. Johansson, as well as Chad Elliott and all of our nutrition staff. We've got a really good partnership there with our classes, where we are able to basically grow lots of the food that gets served every day in our school lunch program. And it's an award-winning program that Chad has put together with his staff. And they just continue to get accolades. So it's a pretty great system that we've got in place right now. And with that, later on, like I said, in agenda item 10G, there's a 57-page document that will ask for your review. Lots of hard work went into that from lots of people in this room. And then we appreciate the board's representation on our CTE advisory committee. We have our fall and spring advisory meetings, and then just helping us with supports, things you've done to support us with getting school links, and other things that may come along the way to continue to grow our CTE programs and work-based learning is much appreciated. And with that, I think we're over our presentation, pending any questions.
Yeah, bravo. I mean, I really feel like our district is going full circle in preparing these young people to launch, whatever their path may be, whether that's college or directly to the workforce. There's opportunities, and I think that the 57-page plan, so you said 57 pages, which I did read, and that is a testament not only to what's happening with our middle school and high school age students, but it's the strength of our Decorah school system. So I just want to recognize the hard work that's gone into this plan and report, but also to recognize the system-wide support that we're all working together. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments about the presentation?
I have one question and one comment. Comment first is, so I don't know high school yet, so I can't speak to any of that. But at the middle school level, I have noticed the probably unintentional integration of that into activities, which I just find so exciting. And, you know, Mr. Boylan asked parents to come and listen to like kids pitch the making of a cup and the insulating. And it was like really talking about kids smarter than you, the insulation properties of a cup. But it was fun to see them actually have to then take the next step of how do you market it and how do you pitch it and all these things. So I assume that's what you mean in sort of these, like, these are the kind of general integration into activities that we need to name and recognize. But it's fun to see that because I think it helps connect across a broader learning for the students. The question I have is related to sort of the education internship, which I think is awesome. But I'm curious if we're doing that in other realms within the district itself, in terms of giving. I mean, I know that some of the purpose is to get students off campus into the community, but I think there's also a lot of valuable work-based learning experiences that can happen within our system that isn't class directed, that it's independent in that same way. Like, I'm not asking for a list, but I'm curious if exploring some of those options as well.
We didn't really go over it in depth, but many of our students with IEPs for sure, especially level 2 or level 3, will do a simulated work experience in the school building, where they do a variety of school-based tasks, some cleaning, some organizing, some file keeping, some library. I mean, a lot of stuff. It's kind of orchestrated by John Dunn, one of our special ed teachers, as well as our Marie Conway and Mrs. Hubery. So for sure. And they get paid for that. The school district does cut them checks that you'll see in the financial reports. It's not a significant sum of money, but they do kind of punch a clock and do all the things that they may do after high school. So that's a starting point where we're at. There are obviously other things that kids, I suppose, do over the summer to work for the school a little bit, but I don't know that we've really fully, reach our potential, what we can do with our students.
Yeah, summer work that, have Mason Boat and others that will do some work for the school. It would be neat to get some bigger job shadows. Possibly, the kids are working so much and working in these other jobs, and they're getting paid for their work. With the internships on our part, some of them would be harder. You're getting something out of the education side of an internship. But the good thing that we do, this is probably the closest we get, is we have an education day for sophomores, and people from around the district would come, like Dr. Cronin came, talked to students about in the business classes, what's it like to run the school as a business. We have teachers that will have some teaching spots. Curtis Johnson and Chris Prashinsky came to the shop class. And so it's a very mini job shadow lesson. But because kids are working so much, it's hard to leverage it, lots of hours in it. But job exposure is happening with the sophomores.
Maybe it wasn't part of that, but I should give a shout out. Mr. Hayes brought his class over to look at the propane buses with Mr. Pronchinsky last week, and it was just neat because students were very interested. Mr. Hayes was very interested, and Mr. Pronchinsky was delighted to have an audience of people willing, like people who were listening to or but yeah, I pulled in and they were revving the engine, and but they were talking. They also have math problems on how much are we saving and the miles per gallon and the cost per fuel. And so that was a neat little activity. And he said, Mr. Franchinsky said, oh yeah, I've been over to talk to the class before, but the idea of a class coming to the bus garage was a neat thing. So. Yeah.
And is School Links working as well as you helped as you're implementing?
So far, so far it's been great. We sit in trainings once a week right now to learn more about it. But I've had a few students come in, juniors specifically, that have some questions before they go on college visits. And I'm like, hey, let's just pull up that school's profile right now in School Links. And they're like, what is this? And I'm like, oh, we'll show you next year. We'll get it going.
Harder lunch.
So yeah, the hard launch, yeah. So there's some really neat things that.
Excited about it.
And it'll just inform us more too on what our students need and want, so that we can offer better programming to meet their needs, which changes every year based on our population.
And I imagine as they get into it, they'll find all kinds of jobs that they've never heard of before.
That's our hope.
Yeah, it'll help connect to the business community as well, which will be huge on that other end.
Yeah, just at the tip of the iceberg now.
Thank you, Maddie, for all that you do. You're very involved in this. It's just really great.
Yeah, I like doing it.
I want to point out the thing you said right away at the beginning, which was the high outcomes and achievement we're seeing at the high school level. So that's, the test scores, phenomenal, but also just the holistic aspect of it. We're seeing it all on all sides. And so I'll echo what you said, but repeat it again, because I think it's that important. Well done.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to item number 10, new business. First, item A, we will consider approval of the roof review proposal with Shive Hattery.
So we've talked about this a bunch of times, but this is actually having Shive Hattery come in and just look at all our roofs, give us a condition report and like a replacement guideline, which will help us just create our, dovetail that right into our safe plan. of, say, Pebble plan of the future about when we're replacing which section of the roof. And we've got all the roofs down by sections. Obviously, we're pretty confident with the middle school roof, it will be fine. And the new John Klein building, or new elementary building. So this is gonna focus most on Terry Lee and the high school. There's lots of roofs there. Obviously, once we get this done, not only do we have our plan, but then we also have an understanding of when it would be appropriate to put solar if the district, we've talked about, we get 5 years down the road, or we get down the road, we've got our new elementary building, we've got all our commitments for Pepple and Save, and if we wanted to look at installing solar, we'd have a roof ready to go.
Right, and this I would consider to be a proactive, preventative maintenance investment, which is, I just am thankful we're finally to that point.
Yeah,
We can
yeah.
be.
This has been really
Okay.
important, that we work to get our roofs fixed.
Mhm.
And have a plan going forward, it feels like we're really.
Yeah, we're hopefully getting over the threshold of, we have to triage and pick the worst roof and do that this summer. And now we hopefully can get to a point where we can say, oh, in the next 3 years, we're gonna do this, these sections of roofs, and possibly even kind of look at how we want to bid that with projects and where money's coming in. But yeah, I've never had a roof review before. Never been in a district this size, but I think this will be a great thing for the district to have, and just know what we need to do next.
Are they ready to go as soon as we sign up on it?
Yeah, and he'll be up here. He's dovetailing this into agenda item, whatever, the Terry Lee so he'll be up here checking on the high school Terry Lee progress. So he kind of said he could make it, we're getting a little bit of a travel discount here as well. So.
I move that we consider approval of the roof review proposal with Cheyenne. What's that mean?
Okay, hearing a motion in a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is consider approval of the Canvas subscription or Canva subscription agreement.
And so there's lots of items that we do every year as kind of an annual thing, so I don't need to over talk these, but we use Canvas as kind of our hosting of our student cloud for assignments and for students to interact with their teachers. So Sean just sent this to me and was like, oh yeah, we got to get a new Canvas agreement. They did recently have a hack, so they're part of that, and we're working through that. But this is our recommendation for and the teachers are used to working in it. We've kind of decided a lot of stuff around it. So
yeah.
I don't need to over talk something because I know we've got a lot of agenda items tonight.
I'll move that we approve the Canvas subscription agreement for 26-27.
Second.
Okay, hearing a motion in a second, any further discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item C, consider approval of amendment of the 25-26 school budget.
So this is very typical that you have to do a budget amendment, and Joan mentioned a little bit before, like if you don't amend your budget and you spend more than you said you were gonna have, you're gonna have in that account, you get written up by your auditors, so you want to avoid that. And so in this amendment, you'll see that we just talked about where we're increasing the budget, and then there's just a little note. And so the big one was we have to budget for the elementary building because we did borrow the $10 million for that. And then the non-instructional programs, Joan, I might let you talk a little bit more about that. That was an increased cost with paras. Was that?
But non-instructional is things like food service or school cafe and that kind of thing. And very often school districts, just because of expenses, you know, how costs have gone up would be why that would be. And I know it, like I said, I know it's not going to be that much, but that's one that usually catches a lot of districts. So that's why, since we were amending the budget anyway, I probably wouldn't have done it if we didn't have the large other one.
And based with the fact that you have to have we had to set the public hearing, which we did at the last meeting, we had to get it in the paper. This isn't something we can get to the end of the year on June 1st and say, oh gosh, we should hurry up and do it.
Right.
I mean, somebody maybe does, but But that's why you might overestimate just a little bit at this time is so that we have a good idea of where our budget's gonna be at the end of the year. And we just wanna
Yes.
get it over the hump.
And following the due process. of
Follow the
media.
process, yeah. Or-
Yes.
Mhm.
I'll move that we approve the amended 25-26 school budget.
One second.
Hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is item
Thank you.
D. Consider approval of technology service contracts.
So this goes back to our budget adjustments, and this is not a reduction or a generation of revenue, but this is a shifting of our technology service support from general fund to having them be a purchase service. And to accomplish that task, we've had our two techs. Those that this year was Teresa and Alec. Those positions will be filled by AAA staff, and Teresa retired, and then Alec got hired by the AAA. So you also, earlier in the meeting, you approved Alex's resignation from the district because he can't be employed with the district and work for the AAA at the same time. Cost ended up being a trade cost for cost, so virtually what we're paying out of general fund. It will come out of PEPAL now, and it's on our PEPAL save chart. So we kind of budgeted for that. It is a budget reduction, budget adjustment that helps us save money. So combined with that, at the same time, we have Shannon Quandal, who was looking for a different work environment because of she's going to be moving. So she had a proposal of could she do part of her job remotely? And at that time, through conversation with Sean and then included me, we talked about having her services have her work as a purchase service as well. And especially with the timing of, she does a lot for us over the summer and gets us ready for the year. She's a great resource for teachers during the year. She's more than a tech, she's more of a teacher in residence kind of. So this contract that we propose would also be for a year. It's more expensive than the other ones, but Shannon provides more services than the others do. I think this could be an opportunity to go on a year-by-year basis. So we're not buying this from the AEA. I should say we're buying this from Shannon Quandal, has her own consulting service and her own LLC, which is also, you don't have to buy your tech services from an AEA. It's just from an outside agency. And so Shannon did, through the course of the conversation, say, well, I have my own LLC. And we were like, well, perfect. We can write up a contract and we can buy services from you. We're looking at it as a year-by-year basis, see how it works for Shannon, see how it works for us. I do know, it sounds like she's relocating to the Ames area. It'd probably be really easy for her to get a job down there. So I appreciate the fact that she was committed to Decorah, knew that if she left now, there'd be stuff that she couldn't get done. It is a hybrid, so it'll be remote, but then she's planning to be in district 1 week a month and tied to the PD so she could be, boots on the ground.
Which is a lot of time.
Which is a lot.
I think that there's, I agree that this is a good investment, just with her being established in the school district, her internal knowledge, it would take us years so I feel like this is a non-traditional contract, but it's a opportunity with so many benefits that I think is worth the investment, especially on this 1 year basis. I feel like the risk is low.
Worth the investment now. I think it also outlines where we need to ensure we've got some backup in our other staff.
Yeah, it does, it kind of gives us a year to build some capacity for sure.
We have had to jump through financial hoops again and again and again, and it's strategic moves like this that takes money away from our general fund to move. It's not that it's free, okay, but it gives us, it's leveraging all of our financial tools as well.
Yeah, it was nice to kind of have the budget crunch to kind of get to the point where we could do, so I think it'll work out. I will say, in the two previous districts, we had tech service agreements. Central City bought the services from the AAA, so it'll be similar to that. And Dockerton bought a remote service from a private company. And whenever I had a problem, I just call computer guy Bob, that he showed up on my computer and fixed my problem. So, it'll be new learning for us to do stuff, remotely. But I would also say, you know, we'll have people in district for staff as well. And the fact that it's Shannon, I think people have a comfort with her, so, but yeah,
And with the two techs, even though they are contracting through the AEA, we do have a say in what their job duties.
yeah,
and
oh, yeah,
options
yeah,
are.
yeah, yeah. And so they'll work with Sean on what the day-to-day looks like.
Are we-
So,
Sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say, I don't think most people, if they don't pay attention to this meeting and Seth doesn't write a big headline about it, probably won't even know that they're not employed by the school district anymore. I mean, and that's what we experienced in Central City. Not that it was ever really came up, but I don't think we had a guy named Trevor, and I think people just thought he was our employee, and we had to say, well, he actually works for the AA, but he does our stuff, so.
They have office space, landing space somewhere.
Yeah, they'll just use their current space that they have, so that's a one for one trip out there.
I appreciate that we're finding ways to transition money in what I would define as a budget shortfall from the state of Iowa. So it's a flexible way to figure out a tricky situation, which I appreciate you.
Yeah, I mean,
figuring
just
out.
like if we're just looking at the dollars and cents for $250,000, that's probably 4 teachers that we didn't have to reduce, or 3 teachers at least. So, yeah, I'm glad it could work out. We still will have the same services and make sure we watch our people save, but we do that.
I'll move that we approve technology service contracts as listed.
Second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is item E, consider approval of the AEA purchase agreement for the 26-27 year.
And this is like generated from the food service, so this just says that we'll participate in the program to purchase items as needed. It's an annual agreement that we do, and
Yeah. Stupid.
I move that we approve the AEA purchasing agreement for 26-27.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is item F, approval of relay services agreement.
okay. Relay is what we use to help with Medicaid reimbursements. Relay is replacing
Timberline.
Timberline, thank you. And this is an annual agreement, but with the past, we would have seen it with Timberline. Just fun story, we'll get a little bit more with this, but our friends at Independence are also switching to Relay, so it's a common switch that's happening. I'm kind of looking at Laura, is there anything that you would add on our special ed? This is for special ed billing. So certain students that we have, we can, because of their
Yeah, so they're, the students that we bill on are all Medicaid eligible and they have Medicaid billable services, which typically are, paraprofessional services for behavior, health, or safety. But then also might have transportation needs, so, you know, we might have them on a special route bus because they need, you know, an attendant, or they might need the lift, or more supervision. And then we can also bill services for, Julie and Selena's time, in the nursing area. So, yeah, so they help kind of keep track of everything, make sure that we have all the proper paperwork, keep up to date on everything, follow all the guidance. And Timberline was bought out by Relay.
I don't have any questions
Yeah,
about
I
it.
don't have any questions either.
I'll move that we approve the relay service agreement.
Second.
Hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is item G, approval of annual review of the district career and academic plan. And this was the robust and the highest scoring plan in the state. I hope after perusing through the 57 pages, I hope that this one is too. This is a tremendous amount of work and documentation, but it clearly outlines all the opportunities for our students.
The only thing I can say about it is gratitude. So I'm gonna look at the two of you, but I know it's more than the two of you. Writing a document like this has to take just mountains of time to put together. So sincere gratitude for all the work you're putting in on that side, not only the day-to-day of administrating students and staff. So
Well, they did such a fantastic plan.
And it spirals through the through the buildings and through the whole life cycle of the.
I think we have more sports radio announcements coming up.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that too then.
Fun fact, David Warrington, who's now in Des Moines, and he was in KWO. He started as a Central City high school kid doing middle school games.
See, there you go.
So,
Ryan and Randy have
yeah,
retirement
Yeah.
someday in the future.
they
I
could be
guess.
coaching the future.
I'll move that we approve the DCAP plan as presented.
Second.
Okay, hearing the motion in a second, we have our discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we are on item H. Set public hearing on lease and easement to Perry Novak for solar installation for the June 8th board meeting and authorize the board secretary to publish notice thereof.
So clearly that wording came from our attorney. I've been working, so last month we had John from Perry Novak come and talk about solar on this building and how it was cost effective. So I've been working with him on that, and then I wanted to have it reviewed by our friends at Allers and Cooney, and they have a specialist for solar. And one of the things that in the conference call that we had, he said, you know, this looks good. There's some tweaks that we'll get to you that we should maybe get put in. And they said, but remember, you have to have a public hearing to lease land and have an easement. And I go, well, I know we've had lots of public hearings about that. I wasn't thinking about that with solar. So what I'm asking tonight is just, we set the public hearing for June 8th at 5:30 for the lease and the easement. We'll get that published in the paper either this Thursday or next Thursday, which will give us time to then have the public hearing. So on the 8th, we'd have the public hearing at the beginning of the meeting, and then in the body of the meeting, we'll have the agreement with Perry Novak ready to go.
Oh, great. And then I'll be able to install this summer.
I'll be able to get going, yeah.
So,
Is that enough time for them to meet the deadlines?
Yes, I talked to John today and I said, John, you know, we're gonna have this public hearing easement, and he said, oh, I've never had to do that at one of my other schools, which that was weird to me, but I didn't question it. We go, so John, June 8th, or should we try to have it sooner? And he said, no, as long as he knows we're working on it, he'll work with his investors to say everything's gonna go. I sent him a quick update on one of the things that we might want tweaked in the agreement, but you know, I did have a chance to review our agreement with another proposal, and we were in line with getting a pretty good deal for the school district, so that made
Yeah,
me feel
and I
good.
appreciate the district taking that due diligence time and giving comparable estimates. So thank you for taking time to do that during a busy time.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
when is it not
yeah.
a busy time?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
so we don't need to vote on this, we just.
We need
We
to
do
set a
vote to
public
set a
hearing.
public hearing on June 8th.
I move to set a public hearing on lease and easement Perry Novak for solar installation for the June 8th board meeting and authorize board secretary to publish notice thereof.
A second.
And I'll just ask that we clarify that it'll be at 5:30
At
PM.
5:30 p.m.
I'll re-second.
Okay. Now,
Or-
any further questions about the public hearing on June 8th at 5:30 p.m.? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is item I. Consider approval of the high school and Cary Lee roof project bids. And this is also from Shy Pattery, which we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, so we had the bid opening last Tuesday, and it's always an interesting process because I don't think we had any, maybe we had one bid on Monday, and Tuesday, people start hand delivering bids and showing up for the bid opening. But having 5 companies bid was great, even before you saw the bids, because you thought, okay, this is gonna be a competitive, this is gonna be good. I wanna say we had 3 companies when we did the middle school roof 2 years ago. And then I had put in my superintendent notes that, if you remember, when we, the original, estimate for this was about 684,000 for the roofs, and the bids came in 241,185 lower. So we're obligated to take the lowest bid. When I asked Shive Hattery, so that's For Sure Roofing and Sheet Metal, Shive is working with all of the companies, so they felt good about all of them, but they're doing specific projects with For Sure, and so he was excited that they got it. He said they'll do a nice job for us. So, you know, a good company, and then a bid that, you know, you can kind of see, I think the bids are all within a range, but definitely, you know, I don't know what you expect the spread to be, but definitely saved us, you know, from the original estimates, 241,000, but even from the bids we had, you know, the range is to the upper 500. So I'm surely grateful that we had the bid for 443,000.
It's great.
And then, of course, that, you know, is money that we had already kind of allocated, so then we could reallocate, and among other things, we'll reallocate it on our tech support specialist. That was a new expense.
So when we're looking at these bids, are they lumped together? So
Yeah.
the high school and the middle school all in one, or are they separable?
That's a question I asked is,
Yeah.
do you take, so the way it's set up is you take the lowest grand total. You don't get to take the lowest high school and the lowest Carey Lee. It's the lowest. And that's the way the bids went out. Part of me, I'll be honest, was like, oh gosh, I wish we had bid extra sections. And so possibly as we get to a point where we're not doing kind of the whack-a-mole of the most important thing, perhaps we can have bids go out that say, we want to do these 5 sections, but ask for some alternates. That if they do come under our budget and we have it in our Pepple save, that we just accelerate our timeline a little faster. So, because if we don't, we could have gotten it done this cheaply. We might have wanted to do just a little bit more, but that'll be, you know, that'll tie into knowing our roof condition and being able to put together our bids that way. But yeah, so it's a whole, that's a good question.
Well, the state says we have to take the lowest bid, so I'll move that we approve the high school and Carey Lee roof project bids, noting, sorry, that is For Sure Roofing and Sheet Metal.
I'll second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is item J, update and discussion on the new elementary school project. Tomorrow is our groundbreaking ceremony, and far and wide, I've gotten lots of notes of congratulations and appreciation. If you can't make it, don't sweat it to everyone in the public, because this is going to be an event that is celebratory and focused on the students. So we're going to have it during the school day. We're going to have the elementary students there and the high school pep band, and we're going to take great pictures, and it's going to be over in about 23 minutes. So just know that we'll have a more robust evening ribbon cutting ceremony to welcome people into the new facility, when everyone in the community can come and see the new project. But tomorrow is a celebration for the kids.
In a year and a half.
Or a year and a half, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, time is moving quickly. So board members, I hope that you can all be there tomorrow. And if you have any questions, be in touch. And the project, as all the farmers know, it has not rained much in the last 2.5 weeks. And the project seems to be, as of last week, a week ahead of schedule. So the teams are moving really quickly, and we can see when we drive by or walk by or bike by, there's a lot of work happening, and an updated report was shared by email with Tim and Carol and myself this afternoon, so you can share that with the rest of the board as soon as possible. And a lot of good things happening. So the storm sewer has been replaced and work is continuing to drill. If you saw the big tall piece of equipment that is being used to dig the
Piers.
the piers, that was the engineering creative solution to hold up the building rather than to excavate the whole dump in the existing riverbed. So
They actually started, do they actually ram them in or do they dig them in?
You're right.
Yes.
Has that started yet? Is it
yes,
allowed?
Yeah.
and Tori can validate that she's feeling it.
No one needs to buy a vibration plate. Just come to John Fine and hang out, and you will.
So hopefully done soon.
I think.
Well, we'll be out soon. No,
The goal
you
is to
have
get
less
done this week.
Yeah.
And it's not very noisy, but it's a lot of vibration.
Yeah. And kids have done so well.
Great. Well, hang on,
Yeah.
teachers and staff.
And all the fill has been brought in that they need for the school. You're still bringing it in for the playground in that south area.
Right, and official building has not begun yet. We're still waiting for the state to approve our project, and I was a little bit nervous about that, so asked Blake very directly, I'm nervous about this, what does this mean? And he just said, no, this is part of the process, and we're working through comments, and emergent architects are taking care of just providing the state reviewers the information that they need to move forward, so that'll be coming soon. What else?
Social stairs, we're still exploring social stairs, we've got a little bit of time. I got us invited down to Solon Middle School. I wasn't even thinking that Mr. Herleska, who is a good friend of my cousin, is the principal there, so we should get treated pretty well. I also shared an image, De Pere, Wisconsin. The middle there, they built a new intermediate, and so the middle school principal there is a good friend. He worked for my dad's school district, and he's been up there for 20 years. He said he planned that intermediate school, and he was pretty excited about the social stairs and how they got used. So we're invited to De Pere, Wisconsin too, which we may or may not make that trip, but we've got a furniture trip. So one of the benefits of school getting done early is we can take staff without missing students to all these other school districts where they're still going to school. And so Tuesday, we're gonna go on a furniture trip to look at some classrooms, and Wednesday, we're gonna go down to Solon to look at social stairs. And every trip needs a dad, so I got horned in and got invited on those trips. So
the dad usually brings the wallet.
yeah, dad brings the wallet, dad organizes the stops for gas and bathrooms, and yeah.
I'm glad that we are taking time to explore and do some site visits, because it's hard, you don't know what you don't know. And it's hard to imagine. So I'm really grateful that.
Do we include some classroom teachers?
Yes.
Yeah, it's mostly classroom, it's,
Okay, great. It is, and we appreciate those guys who participated, some kids out of
They
their
know
summer
the community. Yeah.
to go on these field trips and explore furniture, and I assume playground equipment too, if these schools have new playground equipment. So that we can start making those decisions, so it's great to just have, them working on it and getting great ideas.
What other questions does the board have about the project, or that we can take back to the teams?
I like the update on all the color preference decisions. And I wholeheartedly support not using lime green or neon fluorescent, whatever color you want to call that. Yes, yes.
I don't know where that's.
Now, the one that's, the other one is like, no, it's, yep, yeah, it's, but.
So the feedback on the colors, was that preemptive or is that in response to the design?
So
Interior design?
we did talk about this
Yep.
at our last week's meeting. And we're gonna set up time to have a meeting and conversation more about colors, but there's nothing that needs to be You know, I think we were just reviewing the notes because we've been talking about colors for a while and Dr. Cronin had shared notes recently just to reflect back on, rather than going around and having the same conversation 10 times, like we have talked about this.
Yeah.
And here are the notes from.
And what, I think what Blake said is that, and Tammy said too, is that, this is not something that has to be made, a decision has to be made really quickly, that there is time for us to decide this for ordering the metal on there. That will be on the school, and we asked them also about, the energy efficiency of the metal and the longevity and the color fastness, and they said from their experience that, because of the insulation that will be underneath it, that it will be just as energy efficient as the brick, and that they have, like I said, they've done this in a number of schools and they have not had issues with the color fading over time. And we're going to talk with them next week, I guess, about setting up a meeting time for a kind of a work session to review colors, was my understanding.
Yeah, I just look back, Blake is checking with Emergent on getting a time we can get together to talk. So I just reiterated, send me some dates and times, so we can get that on the calendar.
And Tori, I don't know if that's something that you all and your staff, like, I don't know if you've already had conversations about.
That's one thing.
And so the notes I shared with the board were the same notes that I shared with Emergent and Myron. That's from conversations with Mr. Riley and Mrs. Watson about, I think of the gym as an example. There were lots of different logos. They were cool, but we only need one. We don't need 3 different ones on a wall. We just need to think less, less can be more, de-emphasize. Don't have to have green. Let's just stick to some, if we do green, let's have it be a more not lime type color. So yeah, we just need to get that meeting and get that set up. So
The only thing I'll tack onto that is we all got a message from former Mayor Borowski about the exterior color of the school and how it was going to look before she left office, and we actually do listen to what people are writing in. And so
Certainly.
that's important to know.
Naming that. Okay, well, feel welcome to stay in touch with Carol and myself and Dr. Cronin with other questions as they come up. Next is, we're on item A. Consider approval contract for transfer of state funding.
And this is a new thing with the AEA. This is kind of the flow through funds that we still pay to the AEA for special ed services. So this is kind of a new annual thing. We certainly, we're not gonna go out and we need to apply their special ed services. So we'll continue to do that. And that's kind of an annual contract, but this is kind of a new within the last year of the AEA switch with the state. We do keep more of, so the special ed funds go to the AEA. It's the PD funds and the there's 2 categories. There's the PD and then there's like a projects fund. I'm messing with the titles. We keep a majority of those funds and we build kind of an a la carte menu with the AEA on which of those services we're to purchase. But for special ed, we do purchase all their services.
I move that we approve the Decorah contract for state funds transfer.
Second. Okay, hearing a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I know it says modification on the document. What's the change? I'm assuming the yellow parts are the changes, but it used to be twice a year versus 4, or is it?
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I think they're matching how we get the payments from the state. So the state now is going to pay us quarterly. I don't know what, I think it was twice a year in the past. That's good.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll move to vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is item L, approval of the 2026-27 bread bids.
So this is also something we do every year. I believe we sent out requests for bids to at least 2 companies.
Yes.
We got one back.
One back from Hilk and then, one back from Bread and one that just emailed and said we're not interested in putting in a bid.
Okay,
So we're gonna recommend we approve the one we got back.
And we used both of these companies last year, the
Okay.
previous year, so. Chad did not have any problems with either of them. I did check. Because that's his department, so.
Yeah.
I move that we approve the 26-27 bread bid to Cannon Hold. Second.
okay, hearing a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And next, item M, approval of the milk bids.
I'll move that we approve the single milk bid.
Hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next, we're on item N, approval, consider approval of book donations. School library.
Yeah, so this was part of the new legislation where the district has to review books in their library, books that are donated. We have a board policy that says it'll go to the board. And I know I shared with the board members, I think, yeah, the thought was that it's not just all on the media specialist. So these are the 5 books presented from our media specialist, and they're saying, if you look at column H, this book meets the CSD instructional materials guidelines, and so they've said yes. So I recommend we accept these donated books.
Motion to approve book donations. I'll second.
Okay, hearing a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next is item O, consider approval of the Medicaid provider re-enrollment agreement and cooperative agreement between the Iowa Department of Human Services Division of Medical Services and the Decorah School District for continued participation in the Medicaid billing reimbursement services related to eligible student services.
So
Did you write that one?
yeah, I got help with that one too. So Christy brought this to me. I don't remember ever doing this before, but it's Christy told me that we need to do it every 5 years, and I trust her. So we're gonna do it every 5 years. And this is an agreement with the state for Medicaid reimbursement. And then we also have the agreement with Relay to actually do some help of the agreement. So yeah, I recommend that we do it.
Christy, we appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
It was
Thank you.
really hard because I have to tell you, when I don't have all the information, I am on the phone. So I'm looking for somebody to help me, and it was funny because I called in Des Moines and I'm like, I need help, and she's like, well, I didn't find anything, and I'm like, well, I sent off a paper with everything about me, probably for a background check is what I'm assuming. And I would not email it because to have my social security number and everything. So I said, and I know I'm supposed to get this pin. Well, she didn't know. She couldn't find my paperwork. So then I remembered the guy I had spoken to before. She says he doesn't have a phone. So I thought this is going nowhere. Nowhere good. So we got another letter saying we only had 30 days. So finally, I just started typing into like IT help. Like, can anybody help me? And so was funny.
Well,
That's how
thank
I got
you
my
for
help. So,
going on that goose chase.
Yeah,
I'm grateful that we will be.
it's not easy. I just want to talk to someone. So, yeah, so we should be good once this is
Right.
signed.
You better approve that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll move that we approve as written.
Okay. There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We are on item P, consider approval of operation sharing agreements So recently we've had staffing transition and for the role of our school business official. And we wish Abby the very best and congratulations on having the baby. But we do need to find, I think that the proposed recommendation to have a shared role, we don't have any shared roles out of our school district at this time, but that is commonly practiced amongst districts in Iowa, and there is a financial incentive to do so. And Christy, I want to compliment you on the fantastic job that you've been doing to support all these services here in the district. So what we would be doing is to hire a replacement for Abby, but then also to have the outside support of the independent school district to share 20% of their time to support our services.
Yeah, and we knew the contract with Joan was temporary. This is not going to be a forever thing, and so I look at it and think how many SBOs are out there and how many people want to become SBOs, and it's
not optimistic math.
No.
Well,
Yeah, I think we looked and maybe there was about 13 jobs open right now in Teach Iowa. So we kind of, our plan when Kathy left was we found Joan. She could be our SBO on paper and also be our consultant. Joan worked in office and remotely a little bit, but she was definitely part-time. And she really did a great job. That put Christy doing a lot. And we had planned on Abby, but things changed for Abby. So when Abby resigned, Abby can actually get an SBO license because of her coursework, and so we still need somebody on paper to be our SBO. And so when Abby resigned, it was like, okay, do we go find an SBO? Which we didn't get a lot of applicants that were, and then at the same time, we had this opportunity with independence. So I'm always excited to explore operational sharing. Because when you do the math on it, and I try to present that, and another note to the board, but the state will give us credit for 4 students to do the sharing, which when you fund students at 8178, that's roughly about $32,000 that we'll get credit for, and then we'll purchase the services from independents for $35,000, a little bit over. So it only costs us a couple $1,000s to have 20% of an SBO who's good, who's doing it on a day-to-day basis, and can. One of the things I think I told everybody as a shared superintendent, I would do like a task and then I would just repeat it. And so there is some efficiency of time too. When I talked to the independent superintendent about this, she said, could it be remote? I said, well, it could be because we're used to having a remote SBO now. So it was important. Christy and I did drive down to Independence and met with the superintendent and the SBO. And that was important because if we're not going to have a good relationship, it doesn't make sense to share. And I thought we got along super well with Janet. We went out to lunch. She's already got a list of things that she wants to help us with. So the only thing that's really standing in the way is this vote of this agreement. We will continue. So this is a great, then it puts us in the model of we don't have to find a person with an SBO licensure. We can again go back and find someone like Abby, that would be someone who could maybe grow into the position. There's potential candidates out there. After we approve this, then tomorrow what I'll do is switch our SBO posting to assistant SBO, and we'll repost it, and we'll do it as filled as needed, so that we can, and I'll share with all the people who are been candidates now that we've switched the posting, and so that might reduce that pool a little bit, but we still feel like we've got a good candidate or two in there for the SBO. Makes sense to do it. It gives us support, and I'm just excited. And I'll let Christy can either nod or say, but Christy and Janet from Independence have already communicated a lot on just being a resource and systems that we can work on. And then we get Christy in-house help to replace Abby, and we'll have a nice formula for our business office. So.
And Janet has so much experience. I guess that's what I'm excited about the most. It's the business world plus school finance. And they have their systems and routines down to a T, which is fabulous. And she's very committed, wants to help. And, looking from the outside, trying to find somebody, it's really hard to jump into this. I've been doing it. Joan thankfully has been doing the bank statement, and when I need to balancing that, when I need to call her for things, but there's a lot to the job. We know that. I saw that when Kathy was doing it. And I've been doing okay, but it's just really a district our size. We really just need somebody that knows and does this day in and out, especially with the building of a new school. Requisitions are going to be a lot more because of all the things we're gonna be purchasing for that. We haven't even touched the inventory piece. And then everything else that just happens on a day-to-day basis that I juggle. So it is, to me, trying to put somebody new in there when it's go time every day.
Yeah.
It is so critical that I feel that we get somebody that's doing this every day. And they really were great, both of those ladies, superintendent there and Janet. And it just,
Yeah.
it would be.
And while the district has
We won't
not,
miss anything, I guess.
while the district has not done this before, I think it strengthens our system. And I think that there's nothing more important at this moment, strengthening our system.
This is a 1-year contract, and then it would be renewed each year going forth.
Yes, and we just verbally talked about doing it for at least 2 years, which makes sense. What I can tell you is whatever the length of the contract is, there's always a provision that by April 1st, one of the 2 districts can opt out. And that's why it's incumbent on both districts to make it work if they want to continue. And so one of the things Independence does, and it's written into this, the employee gets a small incentive to be shared, $5,000, which isn't, I would say, a lot. And then we just have to be good partners and communicate. We don't want to have a situation where the person feels like they're getting asked too much for their 20%. And so then Independence goes, gosh, this is really burning out this employee. We don't want to do it. But at the same time, Independence has to be kind of looking at, well, if we're not a good partner to Decorah, they might not need us after a year. So it's just a careful,
Mutually beneficial.
yeah, mutually beneficial. And so you'll just see it. I was a shared superintendent and it had to work for both districts, and we tweaked it. I was 50-50, and then we tweaked it to 60-40 because of different polls, and that seemed to make people happy. But you'll just, like, I can start sending you links of where it's not working, and it's just careful. But I feel like we got a good start, and it makes sense, and expectations aren't too high for this. And it'll just be awesome to, I think the ability to do it remotely. So the fact, I kind of talked about that with tech. Our teachers aren't used to doing a lot of remote service, but I think they can. Christy is very comfortable and used to doing a lot of her stuff remotely because that's how she communicates with Joan currently.
And I'm not afraid to get on the phone and say, I'm not gonna spend hours trying to figure something out. I don't have hours. So it's like, where do I go? If I can't find Joan, it's Almakeet, it's Southwind, it's Howard Wind, it's who can help me. So I'm not worried about the remote piece. And there's a lot of things in the job that she won't be able to do. I mean, when it comes to invoices and bills and coding, that's here. I mean, that comes in the mail, that comes in email. But the support of that, maybe not having to call, log on or somebody else, but there's a lot of things when it comes to the portal, CASA, that she can do, that she can help with, or she may just direct us to do it, and that's totally fine. I've been doing it, but just that extra assurance that I can't submit things because I'm not the school business official, but I am 100% committed to being that person's best backup they ever needed in the world, so we both can be successful. I've always been a team player. I love teams. I don't like working on my own. So, I mean, she's got something good here, I feel, because, I've been doing it. I've been trying to do it. I've been doing the best. I've given everything I
You're
possibly
doing a
did to this
great
district.
job, Christy. Yes.
And I don't know,
appreciate
but I want a partner that is totally like, yes or no, Christy, that's feedback. That's how you learn. So I think it's a great commitment or a partnership we will have.
And then just to reiterate, Christy doesn't have the right college courses to get an SBO certification. And she's made it clear that she's not going back to school, but even though I think it'd be hilarious, but that's my own, because Kellen's a freshman, it could have been buddy movie material. So Chrissy's just a support person, won't be an SBO. Her title's deputy SBO, which fits perfectly. And the last thing I would think, Janet from Independence, as part of her fact finding, reached out and talked to Joan. And Joan, I think, was very supportive and explained how it works for her and how much help she has now. And with the understanding that we'll have even more help as we fill that assistant SBO position.
So how does this compare in terms of? We're saying 20%, which is a day a week. Do we feel like that's balanced with what we're already getting from Joan? So it's kind of a trade-off?
You know, that's a great question. We looked it up. I think I looked up what it was. Joan was, so in like a 3-week period, I just did a quick scan and Joan had worked 31 hours for us. So in my mind, you know, is 8 hours, you know, probably in the school business manager work, they don't really work 8-hour days. So that seemed commensurate with the 20%. And, you know, and Joan, I see you on with us, you know.
Yeah, well, I thought I would add.
Yeah, so
it varies, you know, it would vary depending how balancing went or things like that. And I haven't been near as helpful to Christy as I would have liked to have been, you know, if I were closer. But I think I had talked with Janet and I really think it's doable, mainly because you have someone like Christy who is so devoted to it. And the fact that you're going to be hiring another person that maybe, you know, that can be a succession plan, hopefully, if you get the right person or if they're interested. And I mean, that doesn't have to be the case, but that would be great. I mean, I think Janet will be able to handle things just because of the staff that you do have in place. And the others too, Denise and Jess as well. You know, everybody's able to do their part there.
Yeah, my question more revolves around are we asking
the timing
percentage?
Yeah,
like 20, or should it be slightly more to, you know?
Yeah,
are we making sure we have the right balance?
I think we're fine with that for the simple reason that there are things that happen, you know, like, I mean, if I see a deadline, I've done it. You know, I've got one that's due May 15th. I did it May 1st. So there's different things set. So I think that person's just gonna have to guide. It's more guidance and where are you at on this? I'm stuck here. You know, it's just the
Like
type of people you have.
accountability.
What?
It's accountability.
Yes.
An
and not
accountability
waiting.
partner.
I'm not one to wait, like if it's due, it's gonna get done right away because I never know tomorrow my plate could just turn over. So that's how I think. The next person we hired, when Tim and I continue to do interviews, yes, it should be a succession plan. That I don't think we're gonna hire somebody that doesn't want to do get the extra accounting credits or doesn't want to take the SBO classes. I don't see why we would hire somebody that wouldn't want that to be their job. You know, 'cause
Right.
I'm not here forever, you know. You're not, give me 5 years, yeah. So I know my plan, so I think you feel the same way.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
It's gotta be
ideally,
somebody, we're not just gonna hire
Yeah.
somebody that's not gonna have that plan.
if we don't find anybody with like a finance background, but we found somebody who was a hard worker who wanted to solve problems, maybe, but ideally we find somebody who's already got a start to it, who could view this as, oh, I could be the assistant SBO, I'll grow into the job, I'll have great support in-house, I'll have a kind of a mentor SBO, and then in X number of years, some number between probably 3 and 5, 3 and 6, they're the person in charge of the finances, and then that gives us a great opportunity to have them grow into the position, because it is not easy to find SBOs. And I thought you were gonna ask me how many people do this model, and I was gonna say not many, but I am aware HLV, which is over by just south of Conrad on 80, they hired their business teacher, and he was kind of like the assistant SBO and has taken over in about a year. And so you just go find where you can find it.
We don't want to do that one.
No.
We've already done that.
Oh.
Brad had a small part update.
My snarky thought is, this is maybe a Brad and Pat thought, we should get this on our decap plan and get a student interested in this, and we can succession plan internally.
Yeah.
You know, there are colleges there, the IASBO has been trying to get like colleges to be, people aren't even aware of this position. And it is interesting that there is such a shortage. And I really don't understand why. I mean, there's honestly, and Christy knows that too, there's a lot of responsibility, but it really is a great job and your no day is ever the same. So it's very interesting. So I'll put a plug out for future SBOs out there.
So if this is for the 26-27 school year, when does that shift happen between Joan and Janet?
Well, this would start July 1st, but I think Joan has committed, if I'm not speaking out of turn, to help us through July. And, but not in August, because that's when IPERS is gonna be utilized, so we don't wanna harm any IPERS. With regards to independence, I think Janet was ready to help us kind of sooner than later. Do some stuff, and the fact, so we might buy some days in June as it comes up, or trade days in June. So that part is kind of TBD, but knowing that kind of help us get ready for some reports, and Janet had some specific ideas with payroll and getting ready for year end that she wanted to make sure we were doing. So I think the long-term plan makes a lot of sense, and so I'll move that we approve the operational sharing agreement with Independence Community School District.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And I will note, it said consider approval of operational sharing agreements. There was just one tonight, but there's a possibility to explore other options and maybe have some additional sharing agreements in June if they fit our needs and make sense financially.
Okay. We'll move on to item Q. Consider approval of the 2026-27 Brentwood AEA Power School Software and Support Agreement.
Power Schools, our student information system, and the Brentwood AEA located in Cedar Rapids. That's the AEA that hosts and does the share agreement for Power School. So we get another annual approval. It feels like we've done, so this is different from Canvas because this is just student information system, not the student like curriculum system, but.
Right, and that manages all of our registration.
Exactly.
And daily attendance too.
And daily attendance
Right.
too. Yeah. Grades.
Yeah, every time.
And grades. I will move to approve the Brentwood AEA 26-27 Power School Agreement.
I'll second.
Okay, hearing the motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And next we're on item R, and the board will move into exempt session. So I'll ask our guests to excuse themselves to discuss our bargaining strategy and negotiation.
And I'm gonna request that Denise and Christy stay in the exempt session with us. But I don't see got that.
That was also in my thought plan. Do we want to, do we need to add a trainer break or something so that people know it doesn't matter?
No, I don't. Let's just come in that as transition time, go take a break.
Tomorrow, I'll get there a little bit early. It's just on 2 boxes.
Okay, so I have a couple of adults available.
And Denise, can you mute us
Items
and
that-
pick your rock?
Just reference if it's small. Okay.
Just.
Sorry. Yep.
Okay, so we are back from exempt session. And now we are on item S, approval of the 2026-27 tentative agreement with the Decorah Education Association and the issuance contracts to the certified staff.
I'll move that we approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, is there any further discussion that we want to say aloud to the public or any questions? I do want to express gratitude for all the hours that went into negotiation. I feel good about this, the elements of this agreement, which will bring an estimated 3% raise across the board to our contracted staff. And I'm glad that we could find middle ground to find benefits that were affordable and beneficial to our teachers, because we value very much what they do. Teachers and staff.
Now that we're back in public session, I think the important thing I would add, and I'm gonna just look at because you're the guy in the room. There was a lot of positive dialogue throughout the process and an understanding of the financial situation that school districts are in from a call it a 2% SSA increase, but it's not really that. Christy did a great session on that last meeting. Is that really last meeting? Last month. I mean, we're really talking about a 0.1 something increase because of declining enrollment. And so we bargained in good faith with each other. We knew that there were limits that we had to live within we don't want to cut staff. We prioritize our teachers first and foremost, that we value them. They are so important. The outcomes we talked about tonight, they're all due to our teachers and our staff. And so we want to make sure we're respecting that. We just don't have the ability to give much more than that in the current financial situation.
We're staying within our means to maintain stability in our district.
And what was negotiated gives pretty much every single teacher some kind of increase.
Every teacher has an increase in their wages next year.
Yeah, that's something that we should probably haven't voted yet, but.
And a decrease of 1 workday in the contract.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, and some discussion. We'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And next is our superintendent's report.
So I just linked on there our capital or summer projects, couple and say. I just had 3 numbers I updated this month in yellow, the buildings and grounds, the roof bids, which was line 16 and 17. And then I added in a new one for the purchase services that we approved tonight. So you can kind of see those costs. And as a reminder, very excited that the roof bids were as low as they were. It kind of makes me excited for the future and a roof plan and maybe having a contingency. So I'll just probably see that every month as an attachment, and what I'll do is I'll make a copy of the May one and I'll title it May and I'll leave it attached to our agenda. So that'll be the old version, and then the new version, master copy, just continues to grow and it'll be attached in June. So that's kind of our workaround for how we kind of show over in time without having to do a version history. And when I look at my items, I talked earlier about I'll post for assistant SBO tomorrow based on us approving the sharing agreement in anticipation of that. And the buildings and grounds position is still open, and I'm going to split that into 2 positions and have it posted as what did I call it? One person who does grounds and one person who kind of grounds and maintenance, and one person who works with the employees. And I had shared a little bit of some board notes about that last month. It doesn't necessarily have to be an increase in cost, because we can get reimbursed. We can buy insurance out of our management fund. So it's a shifting of cost. We can buy insurance and then we can do reimbursables for preventative maintenance and break fix items. So it actually is a way that we can leverage the insurance program, use our management funds, and help pay for a general fund position. And so those candidates probably won't be at the Curtis level of compensation, but you know, Curtis was doing a phenomenal amount of hours and trying to make sure that the job is manageable and survivable, you know, because this has been open a couple times. So if we have two people and maybe they have a little bit of cross training that they can cover for each other as well and cover the day. So I will share those job postings out with the board probably in the morning or later tonight. Well, technically they're done, so Denise could probably share them as well. I think those are the big things that I tried to break down a little bit on the property tax relief. That's all new. Understand that we're not worried about the government limits because our UAB is nowhere close to 35%. It's going to be interesting on this property tax relief. So you have less taxable value of your house. So that's going to generate less money, which is not going to help us because we have to make a bond payment and we've got an agreement with the community that we can make the bond payment. So while that goes down, we might have to, our debt service levy might have to be larger to generate the amount of money we need to make our bond payment. So it kind of washes itself out.
You had a conversation with Travis.
I have not.
Yeah.
Well, I've listened to Travis talk to a group of superintendents about it. And that's why when I say it's pretty new, it just, it's not maybe accomplishing, if it accomplishes something, if you live in a district that doesn't have a GO bond. We are a district that has a GO bond, so we've got obligations. Now, what I'm super fortunate that we don't have committed our save revenue to any long-term projects. And that our building came in under budget so that stuff is affordable, because we were talking about, oh, we can borrow $9 million on our save. Well, that was with the old anticipated revenue for save. Now that the state is going to be trimming what districts will earn in revenue, they've identified like 20 school districts that Piper Jaffray folks have identified that there's like 20 school districts that they consider in trouble. And there's like 7 of them that may not be able to make their save payments for projects that they've built. And so our save revenue will go down, but it's a manageable. It's like the charts I've seen is 110,000, 170,000 builds up to 300,000. That's real money, but knowing that that's coming and having 5 years to plan for it, I feel a lot better than if we were leveraged to the hills on all our which we're not.
And we passed our bond
And we passed our bond.
when we needed to.
We need to.
So.
Yeah, we're
in good spot.
I continue to thank my lucky stars on all of that because it would be a difficult situation. You know, as we have a groundbreaking tomorrow, it'd be a difficult situation to be, what are we doing with the roof at John Klein and what's our backup plan if we don't ever pass the bond? So super thankful to the community that happened.
Any questions for Tim?
It's the unsigned one that I think is going to be the bigger. Yeah. Your K-5 teacher that you're gonna have to redesign.
Make America healthy.
Yes.
It will be interesting to see when we get the information from the Department of Ed on this, how they define daily digital instruction. If that is actually instruction of new learning, or if that is practice of previous instruction. I think that we wait on that until we hear more, and I think that they will. Well, I guess they can let us define it like we did with the book banning, but I assume that they're gonna give us some more concrete details on it.
That's all it's come.
Yeah.
But again, broad sweeps,
Yeah.
sweeping legislation that impacts our teachers and kids.
I've said at the elementary level quite a bit, and kids are using their devices in my
They're
opinion.
using them in very useful methods, like, okay, you're a kindergartner, look, you don't know how to read yet, but you can read a book on your iPad. It will follow along as you're reading.
Or the practice of some math facts.
The differentiation for kids with digital technology is so much better.
Yes. And so
feel very comfortable that we're using it and
Oh, I would
very
agree.
manageable ways, and kids are up and moving. These smart boards, kids are up and moving all the time. They really are just terrific.
Well, thank you all. I'll call the meeting adjourned at the end of our agenda. Thanks for your time and leadership.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
This was looking forward to be a very fun day. Also, all the kids from that finding out there.
The kindergartners and second graders, the first graders are away on a field trip tomorrow.
I thought only one grade was coming out.
For some reason, I hate kindergarten, my brain.
I thought it was just kindergarten, but
Just.
And maybe the second graders join us.
Here.
I
For
don't,
recess, some are coming out.
Yeah.
Afterwards. I think Tori is worried about. Involved with, you know,
and this doesn't preclude us from having an open house when the building is ready. This is, yeah, this is the groundbreaking for the children.
For your time.
of course.
They're all just readers.
Yes. Is she gonna sign?
Yeah.
I have it on here.
So I'm like, oh, I got hope so. I know.
Wonder.
They're getting.
But
During the day.
Yeah, he echoed my point.
without formally talking. Just. So.
Thanks for recommending that.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Do you have anything ready tonight, or would you like me to step back?
I do have some, and then this came too.
And you stop the meeting.
Yes.